Welcome everyone to Writer's World. I am here today with my October guest, Magali. We are going to just jump right in it today because today is a special type of call. Magali is a mom who works from home and has a difficult schedule where she's not available in the evenings for taking phone calls. So we are here pre-recording this part of Writer's World to capture the next 15 minutes together to promote Magali's latest project. So let's just quickly talk about Magali. Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for being
Um,
here.
let's give a brief introduction. Who are you? Where are you from?
Well, I'm French. My name is Magali. I'm French. And what I am, who I am. Yeah, I was born in France. I had a weird jump of career. I wanted to be a doctor. It didn't happen. Tried dentist. Thank God it didn't happen. I tried biology, and then one day I found an ad saying that I could have a um, paid study. So paid was in it about being IT developer. I had no clue what it meant. I had no computer, and that's how I started my career in IT by sort of crossed my path, and I worked until like the early 2000 in France, and then I got a job here in the Netherlands. Um, Again, it's weird circumstances that brought me here because I applied for the job, but they contacted me like 8 months later saying you don't have it and you have 1 month to come here. It's like, ooh, we're gonna have to give you a little more time than that. And um, and then I met my partner, and then yeah, I had my daughter, so I stopped working for when I had her. It was not planned, you know. Um, and when she started school, then COVID started. So I couldn't apply for a job because the schools closed, and I was like an improvised preschool teacher, something I'm not naturally good at. Um, and at the end of COVID, I started to apply for jobs, and headhunters contacted me, and they were always talking about, you know, oh yeah, but there's this gap in your career. And I was just like, what gap? You know, what gap? I haven't stopped, for all the time that I was home with Lucy. I didn't stop. I have worked harder than I did during my whole IT career. What gap? And I got so mad that I started writing about it. And then in the same time, I looked at my life and just like, wait a minute, how come I am, almost 50 at the time and unemployable? I was diagnosed with a high IQ when I was in the equivalent of high school. We had a sort of national test done, and I was not supposed to fail. And so I decided also because I was mad again, anger is a good motivation, a motivator for me. So I said, I'm going to write a book. It's going to be called Memoirs of an Unexpected Loser. And I'm going to try to find out what the hell happened that, I end up being a housewife reluctantly. I am not a housewife. My house is a mess. And I spend like 1 hour per day cleaning it, and it's still a mess. And I'm not a great cook either. Okay, now I'm better because I practiced, but it's not something that comes naturally to me, despite my French origin. Uh, and so, how can I like be completely devalued in the professional and social scale of our Western world? How could it happen? It was not supposed to happen to me. I was supposed to get a career. I was not supposed to fail over and over, and that's why I write. That's why I wrote that book. I didn't get the answer, but I mean, at the end, I achieved something, And here I am today, and I keep on writing about things that I don't understand and I want to understand.
Amazing. I love your story. I have still yet to finish Memoirs of an Unexpected Loser, but I am excited to have received the PDF version that sits on my computer, and that's how I'm reading it at the moment. So thank you for sharing that with me. And I am happy to find you over on LinkedIn often, where I'm not very active at the moment. But I love seeing your comments pop up in my feed, and it brings my attention to a different audience that I'm not otherwise connected to on LinkedIn. And you're talking about difficult topics where I find on LinkedIn, it's hard to address difficult topics. It's hard to talk about people's soft skills in a human capacity instead of in a salesmanship capacity. So I appreciate, Magali, your efforts, and perhaps it is a bit of your cultural reference that you give zero fucks, that you authentically are yourself, and that you are really living a life where you are the best version of yourself and you're highly self-aware. You're a person that can talk about deeply intense issues that would otherwise bother people, and you can do it fairly diplomatically, but I also sense your compassion and your level of empathy. So I think that also it's a good time to just say how we know each other. We know each other from years and years ago after both of us had moved to Holland for love for our Dutchmen. And we found each other in a commune of women on a Saturday morning meeting where in the community we came together and we shared our experience, strengths, and hopes over coffee and conversation, where we were facilitating rooms and providing guidance and support and offering fellowship. So I know you from the sisterhood, basically. I think that you're a sister of the South. I know that in my past life reincarnations, I've been a sister wife to so many women that are currently in my now manifestation of this reality. And you're probably one of these souls that I've traveled with for centuries. And I'm so happy to have reunited in this lifetime. So, let's talk a little bit about, very few minutes, talking about this resume gap. I found a meme in 2020 that said something along the lines of, so tell me about this gap in your resume. And the answer was, it was the one time in my life where I actually felt joy. And for me, that was very much the truth, because I needed to leave my marriage. I needed to leave my job in order to find autonomy and personal freedom and find myself. So when I went through my midlife crisis, which I was very public in doing so, I wanted to show the most authentic version of myself. And what that taught me was, well, first of all, that I needed to really reduce my social circle to almost nothing and learn how to stand in my authority. I think living in Europe has conditioned me and made me a little bit more calloused, especially living in Holland, because the women here are just so direct, right? And you can get away with saying things that you wouldn't necessarily say in other cultures.
Yeah, it's called, yeah, I shared that on occasion. When I say I'm honest, I say I'm French honest. I'm not Dutch honest, because that's called rude. I'm just French honest.
Which is pretty savage. I mean, there's nothing friendly about French honesty.
Well, we are known to be diplomats. So in the face of people, we're actually
It's all
we
in fairness.
yeah,
And
we're honest. Well, actually, we're not really honest, because yeah, we're being told not to offend, and not to make any waves.
I really think
So
the French Republic and the American Republic have so many parallel features, and especially, in the American Revolution, French Revolution, we've had some of the similar themes that continue to be present, where France is also considering a fair amount of uprising, political unrest. America's exhibiting a lot of the same stuff, just at a different layer, if you will. I think a lot of the systemic beliefs that keep us grounded in the patriarch is a lot of this really old-fashioned male white supremacy dominance that still dictates Western governments and civilizations today. And I think a lot of the reasons we are hurting the way that we are is because we're a little less diplomatic as a general public, and we're a little more over sensationalized by a bunch of paid actors that are now our civil servants that are not so civil. So I appreciate your efforts to want to fight the patriarch and understand what the patriarch is and understand how to dismantle some of these systemic obstacles that stand in our way in order to make progress in the future.
well, a lot of these things are basically non-logical, and I have a very logical brain. And when things don't make sense, I need to understand where it come from, and I need to understand why. Like why I wrote that in like behind the scene of gender bias. Why is this that some jobs are meant more for women and are called unqualified, while the same job when done by a man are called qualified? And that doesn't make sense, because same job, same qualification. And it appeared that in my research, it was taught because it appeared that it appealed to our inner nature of being delicate and refined, and being able to do repetitive things and stuff like that. So, and the problem is when you apply it to in a man environment like football, then you could say, then why do we pay our soccer players? I don't know.
Same.
So soccer players such a ridiculous amount of money if boys are naturally supposed to be good at football. If it's in their nature, then they shouldn't be paid that much. We shouldn't even pay them. It shouldn't be something that called, such an art or qualified sport, or so this is the kind of thing that I'm trying to expose. Like, well, we have accepted this kind of logic, but this logic is a nonsense. We have accepted that, we shouldn't go with miniskirt or crop top because we're going to get attacked and raped and stuff like that. And if we're attacked and raped because we wear a crop top, then it's our fault because we're showing off something that certain men wants. But then you can say the same thing about any possession, anything. Like, okay, if a man has a car that I want, then maybe he's showing it up in my face, and maybe I can take it, and you can't prosecute me for that because he dared to show something I wanted, And this is all these kinds of myth and urban legend that have been developed and that have impregnated my own mind to the point that I was sexist. Mm-hmm. I gave less value to women. And when I realized that, it was like, wait a minute, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to, when I write, that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to not expose, but at least explain, where the nonsense is.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate your efforts in doing so, because you have a way to be able to see what's under the surface. And usually that's what's lurking in the shadows and creates obstacles. But Um, Most of the time, the general norm is to apply band-aid applications and surface level aesthetics, right? But these things no longer work for us. So you have the potential of being able to show a different perspective that goes a level beyond what is generally viewed as average. So good for you. Keep fighting on and remaining to keep the peace. Um, where can I find your book? Where can I find your writing? Where can I find you on the socials?
My book is on Amazon, Kobo, and Apple Books. So the paper version can only be on Amazon because it's the only one that can print books actually. I have other books in French that I wrote like 25 years ago. It's a novel, so if you have some French speakers who like sci-fi, so go for it.
I do.
And a few poems. I have a profile on Medium, um, and which is Magali M. And I'm on LinkedIn
Yes.
as well as MC Mermet.
See, so I will make sure that I include all of those links in this article. And yeah, I want to thank you again for your time and your brief time away from your stay-at-home mom life that keeps you very busy while you're still searching for jobs, building your
Yeah,
network,
yeah,
learning how to self-promote, self-market, making sure that the dinner's on the table, that the
yeah.
animals are fed, that the house is cleaned, doing a thankless job that the men in our lives that love us never thank us to do. So I thank you for that. And I want to wish you a very happy day.
Thank you. We'll make some soup.
It's chocolate. Bye.